Bitch, listen up. Now, for today's topic, I'm going to have to ask one of y'all to close the door because there may be some little cheerings walking by down the hallway. And the topic of conversation is adults only. Welcome to this episode of Girl, Get Your Act Together. This is going to be a hot one. I'm already clapping. You're going to need an encore. Today, we are going to be discussing the socio-sexual we're going to be discussing the male prowess, what makes certain men peacocks, what causes certain men to get all the girls, get the best jobs, live in the best neighborhood, have the best status, and all of this is ranking into the hierarchy. Today, we will be talking about the male socio-sexual hierarchy and just exactly where certain people fit in line. Now, before I get into the actual science of it all, we've got a few examples that we're going to have to talk about. So, you're going to hear the 6 different levels in the male hierarchy. And then but before that, we're going to discuss a little bit about the reason why we're having this discussion today. The reason why we're talking about this is because in the last few weeks, we've been talking about Will Smith and his relationship with Jada, and it's all playing out on the world stage. And by all intents and purposes, I labeled him a beta male. I believe I may have been a little bit wrong. I think that he's a little bit lower down from being a beta male. He might be something other than a beta male. Yes, I'm going to talk about all of this. So I will be right back to give you the 6 different levels of the male socio-sexual hierarchy. Yes, some of you know them. You know they run around here like peacocks. That's what they're supposed to do if they're the alpha male. I'm super excited. I'm jumping right on in there. So there are 6 different levels of the male socio-sexual hierarchy. By that meaning, in sociology, you learn that's how people like social media. That's how we get along with one another, how we move in society. And the sexual, well, you understand that part. How good are you at getting women? How is your game? Do you have the swag? Are the women falling for you? Because, let me tell you something. On the male socio-sexual hierarchy, some people don't understand why gentlemen that may not be as good looking as some god Adonis walking down the street on the catwalks of New York or in Playgirl magazine. I don't even know if they have that out there anymore. But in any of those male magazines, those men, half the time they're gay. So they may look like, just like the men that are in the Chippendales, all the male strippers. A lot of times they're gay. They're still sexy, but they're not the alpha males, okay? They can portray an alpha male temporarily, but this will give you the breakdown. I've always discussed the nature of the relationship between Jada Pinkett and Will Smith as him being a beta male that happened to date a woman who was an alpha female. Now, I've dated my fair share of beta males in my life. Yes, I have. And I said it many times before. If I was ever engaged to you, and I broke it off, and I didn't marry you, then you're a beta male. I just basically was like, okay, this is great. This is wonderful. Everything's going along fine. But I knew all the time I was not going to marry you. Because in my head, I thought, I got to cut this off because it's going too far. He loves me too much. Yes, honey, listen. I don't know if your mom ever told you this, ladies out there, but if mothers are raising alpha females, mothers that are raising alpha females always say, number 1, make sure the man loves you more than you love him. I know it doesn't sound like a very fair balance, but I'm not talking to beta females. I'm not talking to any of the other females. I'm only talking to the alpha females because you don't understand what I'm talking about. When you love a man more than he loves you, then you have the Cassie and Diddy situation. When you love a woman more than she loves you, then you could have the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett situation. You hear where I'm going with this? There's always going to be a personality in a relationship if you're involved with somebody that is not an alpha male. We're only talking about the males here. I just gave myself as an example because I wanted to say, hey, you can recognize him. I consider myself an alpha female. All right? So if we're going for the men, now I'm going to tell you, you need to listen to this breakdown of the 6 levels in the hierarchy. Here we go.
According to Sexual Hierarchy, there are 6 various personality types, and each one is different in its own unique way. There are the Alpha, Sigma, Beta, Delta, Gamma, and Omega.
So now, I didn't even realize they went all the way down. Yes. So, and the reality is, some of the personalities we are going to be discussing today. Now, I'm going to tell you about only 3 Hollywood relationships that I believe would dictate the labeling of a beta male. Now we're seeing, and you're going to be able to assess after you hear each of the levels, you'll be able to assess on your own whether or not these 2 actors fit into this category. So I labeled Will Smith as a beta male, and just this week there was an allegation made by another man claiming to be his former bodyguard or security detail or whatever he was, claiming that he walked in on Will Smith having sex with another man, an actor on a show. Now, I didn't believe it, but I was like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. But I thought, well, the only reason that we're hearing about this now is because Will Smith is now viewed as not an alpha male. Anytime prior to the demasculation of Will Smith, before his nuts were cut off and put in a vice, put in a vice and cut off, the reverse. Before that happened, nobody ever came out and admitted seeing Will Smith with another man like that so boldly. I mean, it's gotten to a point where Tasha K, with her ratchet self, who's sitting behind a judgment where I believe that she owes Cardi B a couple of $1 million, and she still hasn't paid Cardi. So I'm kind of thinking that Tasha K had this gentleman on her show, on her YouTube show, and she basically was letting him just run off at the mouth and say anything and using absolutely no journalistic integrity. All right. Now, I'm not really considering Tasha K a journalist. I mean, I don't know if she is, but I'm not sure if she got her degree in journalism from somewhere that I've never heard of. But you're supposed to vet a story. Now, let me tell you something. Just because somebody is a celebrity doesn't mean that you can just run them down on the ground. Okay. We all know that. But the reality is this. Because Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith have shown the nature of their relationship to the world, we have now gotten a different view of how we view the strength of Will Smith. We know, number one, he showed physical violence as a way of acting out, as a show of strength by punching somebody at an award show. That was physical strength. But that was basically him just reaching a boiling point, because let Jada tell it, she and Will were living apart at the time since 2016. So they were not even considering themselves in a husband and wife relationship. Their relationship breakdown was simply, they were partners in life together. And so says the gentleman, Alcina, that she was dating as her significant other. And according to Alcina, with Will's blessing. So Alcina never felt threatened, and he was a young gentleman. And obviously, Jada Pinkett doesn't feel threatened by anything against Will Smith. She obviously has no fear of him popping her upside of her head. Like, that would never happen because he's too soft for that. I mean, you would think that if any time in the history of Will Smith, if ever there was a time to jack a woman and be like, listen, and just shake the mess out of her, it would have been the time after she came out with the Red Table Talk about August Alsina, if that's how I'm saying his name correctly, but he didn't do that. And so it caused Jada to continue on with the public downtroddenness, with the public humiliation of her husband for further and further attention. Notice, Jada is an attention seeker only based off of Will. Otherwise, she's not important. She has nothing to talk about. She's like a housewife that's been canceled, that we don't remember their names anymore, that didn't really have a storyline. Jada's entire storyline is Will. So now that Will is vulnerable in the eyes of other alpha males, it looks like the alpha male security detail guy decided to either create or exaggerate a story about Will Smith and is basically daring Will to do anything about it. So, and just like we should have expected, instead of Will Smith doing something about it. The first thing we hear is from Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm going to play some sound for you. Just the other day, after this story broke, Will Smith, he was silent about it. They asked Dwayne Martin if he had any thoughts. He said he's going to leave it basically to the married couple to address this, and that he's not going to even give any light to this because it's so ridiculous. And so we haven't heard from Will, but this is what we heard from Jada when she was coming out of a building with her security detail and hopping down the street, going into her car.
Hi, Miss Pinkett. You look fantastic.
How you guys doing?
All right, good to see you. We gotta go. We're blocking traffic.
Oh, we got it. Oh, we're blocking traffic. I'm sorry.
What do you say to all the allegations? There's like so many rumors. Anything you want to say?
We suing.
I know that's right. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let me just tell you something about this whole breakdown, and then I'm gonna get off them and go back to the relationship of the male socio-sexual. Now, the problem I have with this is, number one, if the allegation was false, and knowing that you're sitting on basically $1 billion and you have your lawyers on speed dial, and every moment of every day you have access to your lawyers. I got friends that I know that I have talked to in 20 years. If anything goes down, they send me a text or they send me a DM. So it does not take 3 or 4 or 5 days to file a lawsuit against somebody for slander and defamation if you are sitting on a litany of lawyers at your beck and call. So what this tells me is 2 things. Number one, Jada speaks for the family because she's the alpha female. She is the leader of the Smith household. Okay? And number 2, that Will Smith may have some secrets that he does not want to come out. Remember, when you sue somebody, all of the stories come out. So if there's any truth to it, if there's a kiss, it could have been a hug or an embrace or just a kiss and not a sexual act that was walked in on. But whatever it was, if a lawsuit is filed, number one, it should have already been filed if there is no truth to the allegation. Number 2, if it is going to be filed, then they know that their lawyers are talking to Will in private and Jada Pinkett Smith in private, saying, listen, now, Jada, I know you wear the pants in the family, but right now, I need you to remove your strap on and go to the other room because we need to have an attorney-client privilege between just Will and his lawyers. Now, Will, what actually happened? Now, Will can only be honest with his lawyers. And if his lawyers are giving good and wise counsel, then they always say the same thing that probably Johnny Cochran may have said to O.J. Simpson. Now, O.J., I need you to tell me exactly what happened. Now that nobody's in the room. So, and also, now, OJ, you don't have a choice. You have to go to trial. But Will Smith, this is a civil matter. You don't have to file a lawsuit. You don't have to go to trial. However, if you file a lawsuit and go to trial, all of your skeletons will come out of the closet. Every person that's not a female that's ever had sex with you will be a likely witness, and they will all be subpoenaed because, and this is where it gets hairy, because of the nature of what's going on here, we have to understand the difference between Will Smith's personality and how he's dealing with this and his relationship with Jada and the other personalities on the hierarchy. So, you already know, and you may not have known, I have typed this out for you. Now, according to the breakdown of male personalities, socio-sexual personalities, this is the reason why some guys get all the girls and some guys don't get any girls. Now, alpha males, according to Jeffrey Furman and Finn Cobbler, they co-wrote How Pop Culture Characterizes Male Personalities. This is an article according to them. And then I'm going to play you some sound. So, alpha males are strong-willed leaders who love to take charge, exuding charm and machismo machismo. They're known for their natural confidence and exceptional leadership abilities. Anecdotally, alpha males are the, quote, the bad boy of the male ecosystem. They know what they want, never back down from a fight, and aren't afraid of making waves to obtain their goals. Common personality traits are brave, high-achieving, and social. Well, that fits my husband to a T. Careers they excel at: CEO, manager, military general, and politician. Check that box too. Examples of alpha males in pop culture. Now, William Wallace from Braveheart, Maverick from Top Gun, Leonidas from 300. Those are movies. Y'all all remember 300. Those were alpha males, okay? Now, listen. Now, what I'm going to break down to you is this. If you're an alpha male, this is what they say. Your will and confidence are admirable. Just get comfortable listening to others and compromising every now and again. Great leaders build great relationships. Learn to meet people where they are and help them open up to you. Now, let me tell you something. That is not the full breakdown of how you need to hear an alpha male is. This sound that I'm going to play for you is another breakdown of what an alpha male is.
Alpha. The obvious inclusion in the most obvious position. No one is surprised that Alpha is number one. He is the classic bad boy and a natural leader. Some of his other features include dominance, charisma, machismo, and slight aggression. Such guys are usually handsome and tall and take pride in telling others what to do because it feeds their ego. Alphas are incredibly social and feel naturally attracted towards submissive women.
Now, you've heard it from two different sources what the alpha male is. Now, Donald Trump, he was about to say Donald Trump is the quintessential alpha male. He's so alpha, he's not even in touch with any part of his soft side, okay? Hitler, an alpha male. Not an alpha male, Barack Obama. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, he's just not. You saw him wear those dad jeans when he walked out on that baseball diamond. A true alpha male would have rolled out in some G-Star Raw and not even cared exactly what the people thought. So, not Obama. Now, listen. I'm just trying to tell you, some of these personalities warrant the position that they're in. You know if you're with an alpha male because if you are an alpha female and you're with an alpha male, you're not going to be able to overtake and overpower him and dominate him throughout the relationship. And if you're a true alpha female that is looking for a life mate, you do not want to overpower and completely dominate your alpha male husband or your alpha male guy that you're dating. You don't want that. The moment an alpha female can dominate a relationship where you've got the gentleman that you thought was an alpha male starting out that is showing you beta, sigma, delta, and omega tendencies, like running up and calling you too much, getting a little bit clingy, becoming a stage 5 cleaner, texting all the time, asking you, well, where were you? Well, are you coming home? Can we go to this together? Always wanting to chauffeur you everywhere. Always running up trying to carry your backpack to every class just to see what you're doing and walking you everywhere. Always making sure you hanging out with it. Those men may have been attractive because they presented themselves as peacocks, as the alpha male. But the reality is they are another type of male. All right, they're not alpha males. They're not even sigma males, which you're going to hear about later on. The sigma male is just like the alpha male, but the sigma male desires to take a back seat. They don't have to peacock and be in the front, where the alpha male has to be in the front. But the sigma and the alpha are almost co-equals. That's why you may see some of these men that seem like the quiet ones, but they got the bad chick that's the alpha female. You have to know he's more than likely a sigma. But instead of harping on that any longer, let's go on and go to the beta male. Before we go to beta male, let me just give you the example that I wanted to talk to you about. We just heard that a new podcast is coming out between the two lovers that both betrayed their spouses, the two daytime or morning news anchors, the brother and the white girl. I forget their names. I think it's TJ and the white girl. So TJ Holmes and AB Robosh are coming out with their podcast called We Gonna Tell You Everything or something dumb like that. So I won't be listening to it because I don't think that two people need to profit and benefit off of their lascivious ways when they have two families that they ditch. Now, the reason why I want to say this thing about them is because they fit right into this segue. Apparently, alpha male TJ Holmes is a short man. All right. He's a short guy, but he's got alpha male tendencies. OK, he would like to be an alpha male. He might even be a sigma. All right. Because he was laying back in the cut cheating on his lawyer wife. Now, I could tell that his wife that he was married to, that he cheated on, was probably not an alpha female. Seemed like a really nice, sweet woman. And the fact that he was able to cheat on her with this white girl at his job was just beyond me. But the reason why I brought up their relationship is not because of TJ Holmes, but because the second relationship beyond Will Smith's that needs to be examined is Andrew Shue. You may not remember this, but the woman was married to Andrew Shue. That's who she cheated on. So she had stepchildren with Andrew. I don't believe they had any biological children together. But she had already left one husband, married Andrew Shue. Now, Andrew Shue was the one who was cheated on by this woman, so he got his woman taken away from him by her coworker. So Andrew Shue's going through this depression. This is the second time that Andrew has been left behind. Andrew Shue is a tall, good-looking, very talented actor. He's a Caucasian male. He's dated a lot of women. Back in his heyday, he was like pow, pow, pow all over the red carpets. But what this tells me is that Andrew Shue was not the alpha male that we believed him to be when he was married to the woman that TJ Holmes has now. So another relationship that you might want to keen in on, another either less than alpha, but probably more of a beta or a delta male, is another Hollywood gentleman. I think his name is Joshua Jackson. He is an actor in Hollywood. If you remember a television show called The Affair, I believe it was one of the paid shows, either HBO or Showtime. The Affair had a gentleman that was cheated on. His waitress wife cheated on him with another gentleman who was married and who was wealthy and who was tall and who was a writer. So she was a waitress. She cheats on him. And then the poor guy, Joshua Jackson, he's so depressed. He loved this girl, blah, blah, blah. He's so depressed that the guy steals his wife. She ends up leaving Joshua. He's groveling in the movie. Well, the reality is that Joshua's personality actually fit the personality that he played in the movie. Here's where it gets good. If you've ever seen an interracial couple walking on the red carpet, a very, very tall, very, very brown-skinned African woman. She's a Brit, but she's African. So she's got this shaved head. She looks like a goddess. What I'm telling you. She's about 6'1". She looks like a dark-skinned version of Iman. So Joshua was married to her after he was ditched by his ex-wife, who was an alpha female, who was another Hollywood actress. Let me tell you something. And this matters. Joshua had already been dating a Hollywood starlet. He was a Hollywood star. He was making bank. He's good looking. He's tall, blah, blah, blah. He has all of the trappings of an alpha male. So he's able to get these alpha females. Now, the first Hollywood girl ditched him. So then he was depressed. His friends even talked about it. So then he meets and marries the sister. Now, she was a Hollywood actress out there in London. So she's a big-time British actress and model. So she marries him. They have a daughter together. What's her name? Jodie Turner. So she meets him. They get married. They have a baby together. Bah, bah, bah. She just filed for divorce with him and said in an interview. Now, this is the thing. These are two actresses, beauty queens, one black, one white. Both have children with him that ditched this good-looking A-list actor, and it causes him to go into a tailspin. Now, these actors, Will Smith, Andrew Shue, and Joshua Jackson, all three were attracted to these actresses that were beautiful, alpha females through and through. I'm saying that the women were alpha females because they were all Hollywood, number one. They were already starlets. They already had their money. They were beautiful. They were quick to get a A-list actor. And these particular men presented themselves as alpha male because they had money. They were top, blah, blah, blah. And so they got these alpha females to marry them. Once these females married them and realized they married to a beta male, because all three of these men in all three of these marriages started becoming introverts. Now, Jodie Turner-Smith came out and said, you know what? I'm an extrovert. I said I wanted to live my best life and he wants to stay home. I don't want to stay home. That's the same thing that happened to Andrew Shue. His wife was going out all the time doing marathons with TJ and everything. And then he took his woman. Andrew Shue was known to be an introvert. That's the same thing that basically happened to Will Smith. You never hear about Will Smith in the club. You never hear about Will Smith doing anything or popping off or doing anything fancy unless he's making a movie. The only time he's coming out is when he's promoting his movie. So if that's the Will Smith game, then you see that all these actors are presenting one way, but they are truly another. They might be beta males. So here is the sound for the beta male.
Of alphas, this male group is known to play safe, stay risk-aversive, avoid confrontations, and worship women. Betas often lack the physical attractiveness, charm, and confidence of the alphas and sigmas. They are always loyal and great at obeying orders. To them, nothing is as important as maintaining their rank in the hierarchy. They are loyalists to the alphas and often have successful careers. Though confident, beta guys don't have the poise and swagger that alphas have. Beta males are the normal guys who are likable, decent, and kind. They are often grounded, calm, and not aggressive. Unlike the alpha, they know how to control their egos and can positively take criticisms. While girls are naturally attracted to the bad boys, alphas, they often settle for betas in long-term relationships. This is because betas are seen as loyal and faithful. Every girl wants to build a happy family with such types of men.
Now, so you heard that. The beta males are a totally different type of breed. But I don't even think that any of those three Hollywooders that I was talking about earlier are actually beta males. I think that they even fall further down. I think that maybe they could be, and I don't mean to startle my producer, but I'm going to skip over a bit of sound because I want you to go to the Delta males. This is another category. They're very responsible and they keep the world moving. They're highly adaptable. Deltas are known for their competence and work ethic rather than their leadership and ambition. Delta males love learning new skills for the sake of improving themselves, not for power or extrinsic successes. Because of this, they often have a very healthy work-life balance. They're dependable and unpretentious. Every male friend group benefits from Delta males in it. You can't have a whole bunch of chiefs and not enough Indians. Their common personality traits are hardworking, loyal, and responsible. The careers they excel at: accountant, dentist, engineer, firefighter. The popular Dale male characters in movies are Mike from The Middle, Jim from The Office, and Higgins from Ted Lasso. If you're a Delta male, your work often speaks for itself. People trust you, so consider being more proactive and take initiative at work. You'll be rewarded for it, and you won't necessarily need to be in the spotlight. Let's play the Delta sound.
I see that most men are Delta. They are the average normal guys that work hard to run society. Delta males are not the most attractive, so they struggle with attracting women. If they manage to be in a relationship with a woman better than them, however, they tend to be insecure and leave the relationship. This is why many relationships involving Delta males fail. Meanwhile, women are often indifferent to them. Remember the fictional character Jason Bourne? He is a typical Delta male. Such men tend to be average-looking with nothing particularly striking mentally or physically. Their success rate with women isn't high, and they do not really understand the female folks. Deltas are one step below betas, but often consider themselves as beta male.
Okay, so now we're going to run through these last two because I want you to hear them. Okay, now we're going to go to the gamma. Now, I don't know if you know any Delta males. I know a lot of them. They're in my circle of friends and associates that I know, and I always like the Delta males. They're always very cool. They're not trying to push up on you. They're not the prince of the city. They're not the best looking, but they're always the nice ones. They're the ones that don't give you no problems. But who wants to be married to fun and safe? I need the king of the castle. Okay, now we're going to go on to our next one, gamma males. Are we ready for gamma? Here we go.
Obsessive lovers, stalkers, the psycho-jealous ex-boyfriends, narcissists, conmen, and social justice warriors. They do not like to follow the social hierarchy, so they fail to follow social rules. Gammas are generally intelligent, but they tend to overestimate their intellect. That is why they believe that they should have a higher rank than the alphas. They also believe that they are better than every other personality group before them. To women, gammas are invisible and are often unsuccessful in attracting the opposite sex. Even though they are sensitive and romantic, women tend to hate gammas. This is why these guys spend a lot of time in the friend zone. Gammas either worship women or totally hate them. This might explain why some psychopaths are gammas. They are not social rejects, but sexual rejects.
Okay, so you hear that? I know you girls have been out there friend zoning these guys. It happens in college, it happens in high school, it happens in your adult life. But sometimes the one that you friend zone needs to be friend zone. So don't ever let him change your mind, honey, because I did that one time in college. Biggest mistake of my life. Let somebody go from the friend zone to the date zone. It lasted 17 minutes. I kicked him back out to his lower socio-sexual level and right back down to the bottom. See, I think it was just a pity party. All right, now we're going to go to the Sigma and the Omega, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So what I want you men out there to do is to listen to where you fit in your socio-sexual hierarchy. You can change your hierarchy, dude. You really can. There's ways to change it. You need to pick up some tips and change your ranking. It'll increase your ability to get a better bitch. Okay, go with the Omegas.
Omega males are the stark opposite of alpha males. They are mostly the social outcast that everyone tries to avoid. These type of men is scared of being lonely, so they tend to be incredibly clingy. If you happen to give them a space of your attention, they will latch on you. But they are often honest and aren't deceitful like gammas tend to be. A lot of people consider them as social losers and socially awkward men. Amigas are often social rejects who fail woefully in attracting women. This group of men is mostly geeks and nerds with no love life or social life happening for them. They just stick to their own clique of other nerds.
So now you've heard it, all of the 6 types. Did we go through all of them? We didn't miss any of them. So we went all the way from alpha to omega, and you saw that the Sigma thinks that they're alphas, but they're really not. They act like them. They're just more introverted. Go through that list, share it with your male friends, categorize all your friends, and then figure out exactly where they fall in the hierarchy. If you want to make one of your homeboys into your project, then you can go ahead and be like, listen, let's go through this chart together and see exactly where you want to change your circumstances. You want to better, if you're a gay man, it's the same thing for you. Gay man, gay woman, straight woman, it's all the same. They only made this the male personality traits, but I think that it could fit for women as well. So I hope that you've gotten a nice little breadth of information so you can know where you're ranking. You know what kind of dude you're with. And if you're an alpha female and you heard some personality traits that depress you or disappoint you about the guy that you're with, it's time to break up. It's never going to work. You're never going to be able to change his personality because you know what? You can't turn a jackass into a racehorse. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I got to sign off right now. Girl, get your act together. Know what kind of man you need. Follow the 6 steps. Everybody's not an alpha, but girls out there, I hope more of you are as alpha as you can be. Bye, everybody. For those of you women out there, I've been in this situation. Don't be embarrassed. It could happen to you.